The Book of Baruch, Chapter 1. And these are the words of the book, which Baruch the son of Nerius, the son of Macias, the son of Sedecius, the son of Asadius, the son of Chelcias, wrote in Babylon. In the 5th year, and in the 7th day of the month, what time as the Chaldeans took Jerusalem and burnt it with fire. And Baruch did read the words of this book in the hearing of Jechonias the son of Joachim king of Judah, and in the ears of all the people that came to hear the book, and in the hearing of the nobles and of the king's sons, and in the hearing of the elders, and of all the people from the lowest unto the highest, even of all them that dwelt at Babylon by the river Sud. Whereupon they wept, fasted, and prayed before Yahuwah. They made also a collection of money according to every man's power. And they sent it to Jerusalem unto Joachim the high priest, the son of Chelcias, son of Salom, and to the priests, and to all the people which were found with him at Jerusalem. At the same time, when he received the vessels of the house of Yahuwah that were carried out of the temple, to return them into the land of Judah, the 10th day of the month Sivan, namely silver vessels, which Sedecius, the son of Josias, king of Judah, had made. After that, Nabuchodonosor, king of Babylon, had carried away Jechonias, and the princes and the captives, and the mighty men, and the people of the land from Jerusalem, and brought them unto Babylon. And they said, Behold, we have sent you money to buy you burnt offerings and sin offerings and incense, and prepare ye manna, and offer upon the altar of Yahuwah our Elohim. And pray for the life of Nabuchodonosor, king of Babylon, and for the life of Balthazar his son, that their days may be upon earth as the days of heaven. And Yahuwah will give us strength, and lighten our eyes, and we shall live under the shadow of Nabuchodonosor, king of Babylon, and under the shadow of Balthazar his son, and we shall serve them many days, and find favor in their sight. Pray for us also unto Yahuwah our Elohim, for we have sinned against Yahuwah our Elohim, and unto this day the fury of Yahuwah and his wrath is not turned from us. And ye shall read this book which we have sent unto you, to make confession in the house of Yahuwah upon the feasts and solemn days. And ye shall say, To Yahuwah our Elohim belongeth righteousness, but unto us the confusion of faces, as it is come to pass this day, unto them of Judah, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and to our kings, and to our princes, and to our priests, and to our prophets, and to our fathers. For we have sinned before Yahuwah, and disobeyed him, and have not hearkened unto the voice of Yahuwah our Elohim, to walk in the commandments that he gave us openly. Since the day that Yahuwah brought our forefathers out of the land of Egypt unto this present day, we have been disobedient unto Yahuwah our Elohim, and we have been negligent in not hearing his voice. Wherefore the evils cleaved unto us, and the curse, which Yahuwah appointed by Moses, his servant, at the time that he brought our fathers out of the land of Egypt, to give us a land that floweth with milk and honey, like as it is to see this day. Nevertheless, we have not hearkened unto the voice of Yahuwah our Elohim, according unto all the words of the prophets whom he sent unto us. But every man followed the imagination of his own wicked heart, to serve strange gods, and to do evil in the sight of Yahuwah our Elohim. Chapter 2. Therefore Yahuwah hath made good his word, which he pronounced against us, and against our judges that judged Israel, and against our kings, and against our princes, and against the men of Israel and Judah, to bring upon us great plagues, such as never happened under the whole heaven, as it came to pass in Jerusalem according to the things that were written in the law of Moses, that a man should eat the flesh of his own son, and the flesh of his own daughter. Moreover, he hath delivered them to be in subjection to all the kingdoms that are round about us, to be as a reproach and desolation among all the people round about, where Yahuwah hath scattered them. Thus we were cast down, and not exalted, because we have sinned against Yahuwah our Elohim, and have not been obedient unto his voice. To Yahuwah our Elohim appertaineth righteousness, but unto us and to our fathers open shame, as appeareth this day. For all these plagues are come upon us, which Yahuwah hath pronounced against us. Yet have we not prayed before Yahuwah, that we might turn every one from the imaginations of his wicked heart. Wherefore Yahuwah watched over us for evil, and Yahuwah hath brought it upon us, for Yahuwah is righteous in all his works, which he hath commanded us. Yet we have not hearkened unto his voice, to walk in the commandments of Yahuwah, that he hath set before us. And now, O Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel, that hast brought thy people out of the land of Egypt with a mighty hand and high arm, and with signs, and with wonders, and with great power, and hast gotten thyself a name, as appeareth this day. O Yahuwah our Elohim, we have sinned, we have done wickedly, we have dealt unrighteously in all thine ordinances. Let thy wrath turn from us, for we are but a few left among the heathen, where thou hast scattered us. Hear our prayers, O Yahuwah, and our petitions, and deliver us for thine own sake, and give us favor in the sight of them which have led us away. That all the earth may know that thou art Yahuwah our Elohim, because Israel and his posterity is called by thy name. O Yahuwah, look down from thine holy house and consider us. Bow down thine ear, O Yahuwah, to hear us. Open thine eyes, and behold, for the dead that are in the graves, whose souls are taken from their bodies, will give unto Yahuwah neither praise nor righteousness. But the soul that is greatly vexed, which goeth stooping and feeble, and the eyes that fail, and the hungry soul, will give thee praise and righteousness, O Yahuwah. Therefore we do not make our humble supplication before thee, O Yahuwah our Elohim, for the righteousness of our fathers and of our kings. For thou hast sent out thy wrath and indignation upon us, as thou hast spoken by thy servants the prophets, saying, Thus saith Yahuwah, Bow down your shoulders to serve the king of Babylon. So shall ye remain in the land that I gave unto your fathers. But if ye will not hear the voice of Yahuwah, to serve the king of Babylon, I will cause to cease out of the cities of Judah, and from without Jerusalem, the voice of mirth and the voice of joy, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, and the whole land shall be desolate of inhabitants. But we would not hearken unto thy voice, to serve the king of Babylon. Therefore hast thou made good the words that thou spakest by thy servants the prophets, namely, that the bones of our kings and the bones of our fathers should be taken out of their place. And lo, they are cast out to the heat of the day, and to the frost of the night, and they died in great miseries by famine, by sword, and by pestilence. And the house which is called by thy name hast thou laid waste, as it is to be seen this day, for the wickedness of the house of Israel and the house of Judah. O Yahweh our Elohim, thou hast dealt with us after all thy goodness, and according to all that great mercy of thine. As thou spakest by thy servant Moses in the day, when thou didst command him to write the law before the children of Israel, saying, If ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations, where I will scatter them. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves, and shall know that I am Yahweh their Elohim, for I will give them an heart and ears to hear. And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name, and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds. For they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before Yahuwah. And I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their Elohim, and they shall be my people, and I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them. Chapter 3. O Yahweh Almighty, Elohim of Israel, the soul in anguish, the troubled spirit, crieth unto thee. Hear, O Yahweh, and have mercy, for thou art merciful, and have pity upon us, because we have sinned before thee. For thou endurest forever, and we perish utterly. O Yahweh Almighty, thou Elohim of Israel, hear now the prayers of the dead Israelites and of their children which have sinned before thee, and not hearkened unto the voice of thee their Elohim, for the which cause these plagues cleave unto us. Remember not the iniquities of our forefathers, but think upon thy power and thy name now at this time. For thou art Yahuwah our Elohim, and thee, O Yahuwah, will we praise. And for this cause thou hast put thy fear in our hearts, to the intent that we should call upon thy name, and praise thee in our captivity. For we have called to mind all the iniquity of our forefathers that sinned before thee. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us, for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from Yahuwah our Elohim. Hear, Israel, the commandments of life. Give ear to understand wisdom. How happeneth it, Israel, that thou art in thine enemy's land, that thou art waxen old in a strange country, that thou art defiled with the dead, that thou art counted with them that go down into the grave? Thou hast forsaken the fountain of wisdom. For if thou hadst walked in the way of Yahuwah, thou shouldest have dwelled in peace forever. Learn where is wisdom, where is strength, where is understanding, that thou mayest know also where is length of days, and life, where is the light of the eyes and peace. Who hath found out her place, or who hath come into her treasures? Where are the princes of the heathen become, and such as ruled the beasts upon the earth? they that had their pastime with the fowls of the air, and they that hoarded up silver and gold, wherein men trust, and made no end of their getting. For they that wrought in silver and were so careful, and whose works are unsearchable, they are vanished and gone down to the grave, and others are come up in their steads. Young men have seen light and dwelt upon the earth, but the way of knowledge have they not known, nor understood the paths thereof, nor laid hold of it. Their children were far off from that way. It hath not been heard of in Canaan, neither hath it been seen in Teman. The descendants of Hagar, who seek for understanding on the earth, the merchants of Meran and Teman, the storytellers and the seekers for understanding, have not learned the way to wisdom, or given thought to her paths. O Israel, how great is the house of Yahuwah, and how large is the place of his possession. Great, and hath none end, high and unmeasurable. There were the giants famous from the beginning, that were of so great stature and so expert in war. Those did not Yahuwah choose, neither gave he the way of knowledge unto them. But they were destroyed, because they had no wisdom, and perished through their own foolishness. Who hath gone up into heaven, and taken her, and brought her down from the clouds? Who hath gone over the sea, and found her, and will bring her for pure gold? No man knoweth her way, nor thinketh of her path. But he that knoweth all things knoweth her, and hath found her out with his understanding. He that prepared the earth for evermore hath filled it with four-footed beasts. He that sendeth forth light, and it goeth, calleth it again, and it obeyeth him with fear. The stars shined in their watches and rejoiced. When he calleth them, they say, Here we be. And so with cheerfulness they showed light unto him that made them. This is our Yahuwah, and there shall none other be accounted of in comparison of him. He hath found out all the way of knowledge, and hath given it unto Jacob his servant, and to Israel his beloved. Afterward did he show himself upon earth, and conversed with men. Chapter 4. This is the book of the commandments of Yahuwah, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. Give not thine honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation. O Israel, happy are we, for things that are pleasing to Yahuwah are made known unto us. Be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel. Ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because ye moved Yahuwah to wrath, ye were delivered unto the enemies. For ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils, and not to Yahuwah. Ye have forgotten the everlasting Yahuwah that brought you up, and ye have grieved Jerusalem that nursed you. For when she saw the wrath of Yahuwah coming upon you, she said, Hearken, O ye that dwell about Sion, Yahuwah hath brought upon me great mourning. For I saw the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting brought upon them. With joy did I nourish them, but sent them away with weeping and mourning. Let no man rejoice over me, a widow, and forsaken of many, who for the sins of my children am left desolate, because they departed from the law of Yahuwah. They knew not his statutes, nor walked in the ways of his commandments, nor trod in the paths of discipline in his righteousness. Let them that dwell about Sion come. And remember ye the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting hath brought upon them. For he hath brought a nation upon them from far, a shameless nation, and of a strange language, who neither reverenced old man nor pitied child. These have carried away the dear beloved children of the widow, and left her that was alone desolate without daughters. But what can I help you? For he that brought these plagues upon you will deliver you from the hands of your enemies. Go your way, O my children, go your way. For I am left desolate. I have put off the clothing of peace, and put upon me the sackcloth of my prayer. I will cry unto the everlasting in my days. Be of good cheer, O my children, cry unto Yahuwah, and he will deliver you from the power and hand of the enemies. For my hope is in the everlasting, that he will save you. And joy is come unto me from the Holy One, because of the mercy which shall soon come unto you from the everlasting our Savior. For I sent you out with mourning and weeping, but Yahuwah will give you to me again with joy and gladness forever. Like as now the neighbors of Sion have seen your captivity, so shall they see shortly your salvation from our Elohim, which shall come upon you with great glory and brightness of the everlasting. My children, suffer patiently the wrath that is come upon you from Yahweh, for thine enemy hath persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction, and shalt tread upon his neck. My delicate ones have gone rough ways, and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemies. Be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto Yahuwah, for ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you. For as it was your mind to go astray from Yahuwah, so, being returned, seek him 10 times more. For he that hath brought these plagues upon you shall bring you everlasting joy with your salvation. Take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee. Miserable are they that afflicted thee, and rejoiced at thy fall. Miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons. For as she rejoiced at thy ruin, and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. For fire shall come upon her from the everlasting, long to endure, and she shall be inhabited of devils for a great time. O Jerusalem, look about thee toward the east, and behold the joy that cometh unto thee from Yahuwah. Lo, thy sons come, whom thou sentest away, they come gathered together from the east to the west by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the glory of Yahuwah. Chapter 5. Put off, O Jerusalem, the garment of mourning and affliction, and put on the comeliness of the glory that cometh from Yahuwah forever. Cast about thee a double garment of the righteousness which cometh from Yahuwah, and set a diadem on thine head of the glory of the everlasting. For Yahuwah will show thy brightness unto every country under heaven. For thy name shall be called of Yahuwah forever, the peace of righteousness, and the glory of Yahuwah's worship. Arise, O Jerusalem, and stand on high, and look about toward the east, and behold thy children gathered from the west unto the east by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the remembrance of Yahuwah. For they departed from thee on foot, and were led away of their enemies. But Yahuwah bringeth them unto thee exalted with glory, as children of the kingdom. For Yahuwah hath appointed that every high hill and banks of long continuance should be cast down, and valleys filled up, to make even the ground, that Israel may go safely in the glory of Yahuwah. Moreover, even the woods and every sweet-smelling tree shall overshadow Israel by the commandment of Yahuwah. For Yahuwah shall lead Israel with joy in the light of his glory, with the mercy and righteousness that cometh from him.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Way UK podcast. Woo woo.
Woohoo.
Woo.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Should we start?
That was brilliant. Keep going.
Okay, cool. My name is Zenya and I am joined with the wonderful
Wonderful Jessie.
and the fantastic.
Izzy.
Come on, strong team. Guys, we're in a new podcast series.
Wow.
I know, how do you feel about that?
Pumped.
Ready?
Let's go. Today we are going to be exploring one of the characters in the Bible in the Old Testament, and her name is Ruth. You might have read or heard of the book of Ruth. It's quite a short book, but there is a lot to get out of it and a lot of gold. And I feel like this is a great opportunity for us to kind of look at parts of the Bible that, you know, we might skip over, we might think, oh, whatever, but God is in every single part of scripture. And so, yeah, we just want to explore strong. We just want to, you just yawned. We just want to explore a couple people in the Bible and see kind of like how God has used them and what God has done in their lives. We're reading the book of Ruth, and I feel like the whole topic of like love being sacrificial is a very big part of her story, and how like she kind of laid her life down to serve her mother-in-law, and to help redeem her family, which we will jump into. So we're kind of going to look at, I guess, 2 chapters in the book. It's quite a short book, but there's still so much to draw out. And I guess we'll just hop to different bits and just see what sticks out to us. So let's start with a bit of context, because I know we're saying Ruth, who's this girl?
Tell me about it, Zen.
Well, I'll read. I'll actually read. I'll read a bit of the scripture just to kind of like set a bit of context for where the story is set, who are the key people and stuff like that. So I guess we'll start in Ruth chapter 1, and I'll just read like the first 5 verses, just a little bit of the intro.
Sure.
And it says, in the days when the judges ruled in Israel, a severe famine came upon the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah left his home and went to live in the country of Moab, taking his wife and 2 sons with him. The man's name was Elimelech.
Great job.
Thank you.
That was a great try.
And his wife was Naomi. Their 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion.
Just say it with confidence.
Just, go in.
Yeah. And yeah. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem
Strong.
in the land of Judah. And when they reached Moab, they settled there. Then Elimelech died, and Naomi was left with her 2 sons. The 2 sons married Moabite women. One married a woman named Orpah, and the other married a woman named Ruth. But then 10 years later, both Mahlon and Chilion died. Wow. And they're left Naomi alone without her 2 sons or her husband. Very deep, very sad.
The dire situation.
Yeah, no, it's actually horror. So essentially you have this family that were living in Bethlehem at the time, and then there was a famine, so then they moved to Moab, which was basically like a rival city or a rival town to Israel. And then they settled there, and then there was death and destruction, and then now all the men are gone, and it's just a mother-in-law and her 2 daughters-in-law.
Yeah, it's chaos.
It is quite sad.
It took me quite a while to like make the family make sense in my brain, if that makes sense. I got so caught up on it. I was like, wait, so is Ruth Naomi's daughter? No. Married the husband? No. Okay. Married the son of Naomi?
Like a
okay,
family
great.
tree diagram.
I honestly, it was so confusing.
Should we get the drawn on the screen?
Well done, Tom.
Here's a family tree.
Wow.
Could you imagine? I
How
know
come
that.
up?
But yeah, so 2 father, wife, Naomi wife, and just because I think I took a minute on it, so I'm just going to say it again.
Yep.
Mother Naomi and man Elimelech
Yep.
married, moved to Moabite, with their 2 sons. 2 sons get married to Moabites. 2 sons die, dad dies, just Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah.
Yeah.
Boom.
That's the
Sorry, I just wanted to go over it again because I got a bit confused.
that's the setup.
Okay.
And also I think it's important to say that like the story starts with saying in the days when the judges ruled, and just before the book of Ruth is the book of Judges, and essentially like that's about 400 years of history in Israel where they had like different leaders that led, but within that time, people were not walking with the Lord.
No.
People were kind of just,
Oh, it was a rough time.
it was not great. People were living for themselves, and there was a lot of like destruction. And people didn't have a relationship with the Lord, which I mean, low-key kind of sounds like 2024.
Yeah, honestly. Well, there's the phrase it says in Judges, which was everyone lived. Let me read it. It says everyone did what was right in their own eyes,
Yeah.
their own truth, their own view, their own perspectives. And how often do you hear nowadays as well? Oh, I'm just living by, my conviction, like whatever I believe to be true. That's how I live. And this is the time when we meet Ruth, when we meet Boaz, is when people are kind of it's just like a similar context. They're just like doing whatever they want to live for, basically.
Pretty much. I was going to say, my note at the end of the book of Judges, what I've written is, what we find out about man is depressing, what we find out about God is wonderful. So
Oh, wow. Special.
that's kind of the vibe of Judges,
Amen.
is that it's a time where people are just doing whatever the heck they want, really, isn't it? But then that's also, even in their decision, it's very interesting, like them going to Moab is actually them leaving the promised land, or the land they're supposed to be in, actually is the wrong direction. So even they did kind of not the right thing too. And then even like the boys marrying the Moabite woman, where it's the command to not marry outside of like the Israelites and stuff like that. So actually there's a lot of decisions, but they've chosen to also kind of disobey. And that famine, I think, is also linked to like the disobedience and stuff like that, because God says quite a lot that the famine is linked to their disobedience.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It says like, what's the exact scripture? Let me find it.
You find it for us.
It says like, God promised Israel that they were obedient, they would have plenty.
Yeah.
Therefore, when famine hit, it was an indication of where Israel was with their relationship with God.
Yeah.
And it's so true. It's not about the promised land actually being bad land and like hitting a famine. It's because the relationship between God and the Israelites was broken, and so favor began to fall off. Famines began to arise, and and I think these guys, it's cool that this is in the Bible, because God's showing once again that like people who are choosing disobedience with God, because these guys are disobeying God, they're leaving the promised land, they're marrying outside of like their like religious
like
laws.
literal rivals, as you were saying.
They're marrying rivals. They're going against what God has commanded. And yet this is a story of redemption, and yet it's a story that they're not too far gone for God, and yet it's a story that God has a plan despite what we choose sometimes. And so I just find it really cool that God again and again chooses to use broken people and broken vessels and disobedient people. And that's just encouraging to me, because I'm a disobedient kid sometimes. I can be stubborn with God.
Yeah.
So I haven't married a Moabite yet, but
Didn't know where it was going. No, I like what you're saying about the redemption, and I also think like this could be a sign to some of us that sometimes when our relationship with God gets tough, or maybe you're a Christian and all your other friends are non-Christians, and you feel like their lives seem to be going a lot better than yours, or they seem to be more blessed even though they're not following God. Some of us can be like, you know what, this God thing isn't working, so let me just run away. And I feel like in that situation, it was kind of like Bethlehem had been hit by a famine. Oh, this God thing's not working. Let's go to Moab so we can survive. And actually, in verse 6, it says, then Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had blessed his people in Judah by giving them good crops again. So it was like they were in a situation where it seemed hopeless. So they decided to leave. But then if they would have just stuck it out in Bethlehem, they would have seen God come through rather than just hearing about it on the outside. And I think that could be like maybe a little encouragement to us that sometimes being a Christian is long. Sometimes, you might pray for things and you just don't see it happen. Or sometimes God's taking you through a process and it might not seem nice, it might not feel good, but just stick it out and just wait for God to come through, because he will, rather than just like, I guess, running away when things get tough.
yeah.
I love that.
Real talk. So yeah, that's a little bit of a introduction, context. We love it.
Well, one more context point, sorry,
go
just
on.
before we move on.
Go on, Jesse.
Not only are they disobedient to God, but widowed without any sons to look after them.
Yeah.
this is like the kind of the lowest of society you can get.
Yeah.
Like
In
it
those
is
days, absolutely,
in these
yeah.
days one of the lowest places in society you can get. So it's not just like God can use broken people who make wrong decisions. God like chooses to use the least likely. God chooses to use those who are poor in spirit and poor in reality. And like, yeah, God can use us. Anyway, that's just an extra
Well, no, that's great,
helpful
actually.
point.
And that bit of context of what goes into the story as well, is they're like the most disadvantaged in the society and actually they have to rely on strangers so they can survive. And that's, we'll like enter into the next bit. So take us away.
Lead us there, Ted.
Yeah, so we go to the part of the story where Naomi hears that the Lord has brought back provision to Bethlehem, and she's like, I want to go back, because she's like, look, I'm a widow, like I don't have anything going for me right now here, but I am like an Israelite, so that is my inheritance and I'm going to go back home. And she basically speaks to her daughters-in-law and she's like, you guys can come with me. And I think it's so interesting, just that little bit of context. Sometimes we can hear that God is doing good things, but aren't necessarily motivated to go and chase it. But I think there's a difference between people that are hungry for the things of God and like actually hungry to experience his goodness, and then people that are like, oh, that's good over here, that's good over there. And I just think it shows that where her level of faith was at with the Lord, and how she might have been away from home for a while, but she still kept up her faith. And that's something that I just really love about her. So I just wanted to point that
And
out.
she also like doesn't sound bitter towards God. And I think that's really nice. Like, despite all that's going on, she's not bitter towards God, and actually her decision is to draw close to him. Despite all that's happened and despite the past decisions, it's like, he's doing good stuff, I want to draw close to God. And you can see that in her actions now, which is really cool.
It's funny, I find it a little jarring as well though.
Why?
Because I don't want to be someone who just presses into God when things are abundant and when the blessings come. I don't want to just choose God because there's needs met there and there's comfort there and it's the best there, or there's food provided for there, so that's the only reason I'm going to turn back to God. I want to choose God in the famine. And so it's like part of me does respect, like, oh, God's doing something over there, so I'm going to jump on that. But that's great, that's awesome that and there's always room for reconciliation and always room for redemption like that. But also I am praying, Lord, will I choose you when the famine's here?
Absolutely.
Will I choose you when it's hard as well?
There's plenty of people in the Bible as well, like Job, for example, immediately comes to mind, where it's like, you see that it's really cool, again, seeing such a range of people and stories in the Bible, ones that, and you'll be like, why am I jarred by that? What do I, like, that's good that you can even see why you feel that way and be challenging in that way. So that's really cool.
I hate Ruth. No, sorry.
Oh my gosh. I actually love it. That's my home girl.
No, I do like it. I hate Ruth.
Clipped.
Ooh,
Clipped.
absolute thumbnail.
So yeah, I'm just going to read a couple of scriptures around, I guess, this storyline, and let's just see what the Lord says. So verses 8 and 9, it says, but on the way, so this is when they'd started traveling back to Bethlehem. It says, but on the way, Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, go back to your mother's homes, and may the Lord reward you for your kindness to your husbands and to me. May the Lord bless you with security of another marriage. And then she kissed them goodbye, and they all broke down and wept. And then I just want to read verses 14 to 17. It says, and again they wept together, but Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung tightly to Naomi. Look, Naomi said to her, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. You should do the same. But Ruth replied, don't ask me to leave you and turn back. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. And I just think, wow, what a statement of faith. And I also think, like, just to sit in the reality, like, Ruth came from her own family. Like, she had her own parents, she had her own people, she was a Moabite, but she decided to lay that all down to go back to Bethlehem, a place that she didn't really know, a people that weren't technically hers, because she was considered an outsider because she was a Moabite. but she decided to lay that all down to then go where her mother-in-law was going. And I just think like she is such a woman of integrity. And I think that's so inspirational. Like how many of us would actually sacrifice? You know, when Jesus says in John 15, like the greatest love is to lay one's life down for one's friend. Like this is an example of doing that. And like how many of us in our lives would be willing to sacrifice our comforts for those around us? You know, I just think about that. Like she decided to go and serve her widowed mother-in-law who had nothing.
It's wild because, you know, it's easy to say yes, me. Yeah, of course I'd do that. Yeah, of course I'd like get rid of everything and go after someone I love and support them in that. But then you do consider it. You're like, oh man, leaving like somewhere you're very familiar, grown up with, leaving your gods that you've grown up worshipping, leaving your family, leaving all comfort for someone who's actually not even your blood. Like Naomi is not Ruth's immediate family. They like, obviously when Naomi's sons got married to Ruth, it's like, okay, yeah, you're in the family now, you're welcomed in. But in terms of like honoring system, you know, there's no need for Ruth to carry any responsibility for Naomi at all. Like me, when I get, you know, 80, or not 80, when I get like 60 and my mum gets like 90, I'm going to look after my mum because that's my mum. But my wife who died, whose mum is now, I don't know, that's so much more challenging to know whether actually I would be sacrificial for someone who I'm not even an immediate family with. And I think it's cool to think beyond our comfort as well, and like beyond our barriers and beyond our like friend zones and family and immediate friendships and all that kind of thing. Oh, am I willing to sacrifice and love sacrificially for someone who actually I don't owe anything back to, or someone who's not as easy as my immediate friends or family? And that's a big question I sometimes ask. It's like, oh, am I being too comfortable in my friendships at the moment? Am I just hanging out with those who it's easy with? Or am I actually going to the one on the margins? Am I going to the harder conversation, investing time sacrificially into that, even when I get nothing in return or they've never done anything for me? So yeah, I don't know. It's just like so inspirational that she would do this for like someone who's not even her immediate family. She wants to give everything and love her with everything she has, you know.
I love that.
Anyway, sorry, side point.
No. I think it's also the bit of saying like, your God would be my God. I think I found that really interesting, because it's like they were together for like 10 years up until this point, and not once did Ruth be like, oh, you're going to be my God. Like it was the years of Naomi compromising, being away from God, being away from where she's meant to be. But as soon as she goes and be bold and be like, this is the God I believe in, then Ruth is like, I'm going to be there with you. And I find that actually like a challenge, even like for us, actually us compromising or us not quite following, you know, what we're meant to be doing in the command, like, not living how we're supposed to isn't going to make people look at our lives and be like, I want your God to be my God. But actually, if we stand bold for God and we live in his ways and how he wants us to live, then that's when people see that and they'll go, I want your God to be my God.
Yeah, that's great. I was reading this quote by Spurgeon, and it says, you'll never win any soul to the right by a compromise with the wrong. It's a decision for Christ and his truth that has the greatest power in the family and the greatest power in the world too. Like, people respect when, like, it's kind of like what we talked about in the James podcast, which if you haven't seen it, go and listen. But when it says like, let your yes be yes and your no be no, like with your faith, people will respect a strong yes to Jesus. And when you don't compromise, it speaks volumes, which is actually kind of convicting and challenging, because even when we're in school or when we're in university or when we're in work, like, we're around people that might not necessarily hold Christian values or respect the Lord as their Lord and Savior and all that stuff. So then it's like, you want to be able to exist in those spaces as a strong Christian, but sometimes it can be really, really difficult because you might not be received, or you might not want to go to parties and your friends are going to parties and it's like, oh, I love my friends, but I just don't want to So yeah, sometimes I feel like convicted about that because it's like, how do I exist in those spaces and let my yes be my yes and my no be my no, you know?
Yeah. This is fascinating, this next section.
Mm.
Ruth and Naomi basically, you know, spoiler alert, do go back to Bethlehem. They go back to the chosen land, the promised land, and everyone's kind of stirred and kind of going like, oh, who are these guys? Who are these guys? And it says this, is this Naomi? And she said to them, do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went away full, and the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi when the Lord has testified against me and the Almighty has brought calamity upon me? It's so interesting that when she was in unity and relationship with God, she described herself as full. She went out and now she's coming back empty. And I just love that we only get filled, we only get full, the fullness of life when we are in relationship with God.
Yeah.
Even honestly, if Naomi stayed during the famine but was with God, she would have been full. But she left and it left her empty. But it's also an encouragement. I almost see it as like a reminder for evangelism as well.
Well, and it shows that she's, from all this humbling she's had, she's actually become humble and not just like bitter. I mean, she sounds quite sad, but that's probably fair enough. But like, it was something I was reading, and it was about how so often people can have stuff to them where like situations happen to them where they just actually get very bitter and very angry, and actually they don't humble themselves. And that's actually what kind of we should be doing, is like there should be fruit from our situations, from us being like more like Jesus, more humbled, more all that stuff. And so, and actually her speaking about this being like, I was pleasant but now I'm bitter, where it's like actually that is, she has humbled herself. And even imagine coming back to your hometown and like everyone knowing you went away, everyone knowing who you are, and like everything that's happened to you, everyone's dead, and you know all this stuff, and she's being there, but yeah, here I am though, like here I am, I'm coming back. Like that takes like that is humbling.
That takes guts.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the prodigal son in a way, because it's like she's coming back and she had every right to be rejected, because it's like, why are you coming back for? Like, you left us in the hardest time of famine, and actually you're coming back with Moabites when God specifically told us not to mingle with quote unquote those people. And like, she had every right to be rejected, but she was kind of welcomed back. And I feel like that's what God is like to us, where we might walk away like the prodigal son in the story, where he walks away from his family, he walks away from his father, spends all his money, literally just gets into the lowest of the low, but then is welcomed back. And that's God's heart for us. Like, he will never cancel us or walk away from us because we've walked away from him, but he will always welcome us back with loving arms. And as we go into like the rest of the book, like Jesse was saying before, there's redemption. Yeah, like they are redeemed, and that's
like that so much, like crazy amounts.
No, more than they should have been.
Amounts.
Like actually more than they should have been. But
Favor
like,
ain't fair.
Yeah,
but it is available.
Wow.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yes,
it
is available, and that's the hope to us. Like, no matter how far we go from God, His grace is sufficient. It is available. So praise God.
From Him all blessings flow.
Oh, come on. Let's go. Didn't expect you to say that.
Okay.
He said it. Praise God.
Move on.
Yeah, let's go to the next chapter.
Now I'm playing.
So yeah, we'll go to the next chapter. And basically, so they've come home to Bethlehem. They're in their house now. They're in their place. And the first 3 verses, it says, now there was a wealthy and influential man in Bethlehem named Boaz, who was a relative of Naomi's husband Elimelech. One day, Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, let me go out into the fields and pick up the stalks of grain left behind by anyone who is kind enough to let me do it. Naomi replied, all right, my daughter, go ahead. So Ruth went out to gather grain behind the harvesters. And as it happened, she found herself working in a field that belonged to Boaz, the relative of her father-in-law, Elimelech. As it happens.
As it happens. God incidents.
No. God incidents, because it's not a coincidence.
It's a God incident.
So many good taglines today,
guys.
guys.
This is brilliant.
No, but
we're going to have so much merch.
Not the merch.
We're going to make so much money. And that's what life's about. So it's perfect. I think I can finally be successful and enough and a loved son.
Okay.
I feel like you didn't read James,
Oh,
the book of James. Maybe you need a refresher.
sorry. Did I go too far?
Don't worry, there's redemption.
Wow. All right,
More
take
than you
us there.
deserve.
More than I deserve. Oh, all right.
That came out wrong. You know what I
Backhanded.
mean?
You low-key
Backhanded.
did.
It's fine,
You
don't
low-key
worry.
did.
Any hoozles?
Okay, so I want to set a bit of context for like, why is Ruth in the field? What is grain? Like, what is she doing? So basically, there's a law that in the book of Leviticus, and it gives instructions for farmers that when they harvest their crops, they shouldn't harvest the entire field, but they should leave some behind so that like the poor and the needy could come and take some of the remains. So like the society wasn't very like I feel like people just watched out for each other, and there was a sense of like looking out for the poor, looking out for the needy, looking out for the marginalized, but also there was like a level of dignity where like people that were poor and needy, they could actually take grain, like they could work for themselves and actually be able to, survive. And I think, where Ruth's at, she's like, let me just go and take the scraps, but let me be faithful with taking the scraps. And I think that's just a testament again of her faith, where it's like, I might not have a lot, but I can do a lot with a little.
Yeah.
And it's about like the perspective that she has. So I actually really like that.
Yeah.
I also love how proactive she was. Like, and God quite clearly guided her in her steps, in her very like normal steps. God guided her to the exact field she wouldn't have realized that.
Yeah.
But God really clearly guided her. And it's that, she was very proactive. She didn't wait for that spiritual feeling of which field to go to. It was, I'm going to go and I'm going to be proactive. And I love that. And I think we can sometimes fall in that trap of just waiting for God to tell us what to do. And actually we need to move forward, and therefore he can guide us in it.
Yeah. What do you think, Jesse? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I love your point. There's this great thing called Just Do Things. And the front cover says, how to make a decision with God when you don't hear a booming voice from heaven, you don't have tingly elbows or a gut feeling or like anything. You just do things. You just make choices sometimes.
It's a long title.
I know it's quite a long one, but it's great. But I think that's a really real point that you just said. I often can feel stuck sometimes in decision paralysis. It's a bit of a phrase we've used a few times on the podcast, but it's so real. Like the fear of getting it wrong, fear of trying to please God and get the right thing for God. And I find it funny that Ruth hasn't come from a religious background towards the Israelite God. There's all these religious rules. You just read some from Leviticus, like to leave behind grain for people to like pick up, which is it's a rule meant to help. It's a rule meant to serve. And Ruth hasn't come from this Jewish God. And so there's almost like a purity and almost like a childlike faithness, where she's just like, all right, I'm just going to do things. I don't need to, like, God's got me, blah, blah, blah. Which I actually find quite inspiring. I'm like, oh man, I want to be childlike in the way that I make decisions. I don't want to get so caught up with trying to please God that I actually miss what it is to just be a kid and be like, I want to pick some grain and eat because I'm hungry. Great. I'm going to do
Just
that.
do it with God.
Do you know what I mean? Like there's quite a simplicity to Christianity as well, and quite a simplicity to God. He just wants what's best for us.
Well, and I think like we can often look back and see God's hand really clearly, but I think if we try and focus so much of where God's hand is in front of us, actually sometimes we can get a bit lost. We're not God. We don't know what, all of that stuff. So actually, it's about just moving forward and not getting too caught up on where's the exact place he wants for us, but actually moving forward, trusting that he'll guide us and like pray to him and all that stuff.
Jesse, do you want to read for us? Read verses 4 to 12.
Oh gosh, a
two.
chunk.
Oh man.
Sorry, I didn't mean to yell.
Do I need to do a reading voice? Or do
No,
it
just
so
please
to
just speak normally.
And behold,
Goodness gracious.
Boaz came from Bethlehem, and he said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you."
Jesse.
No, I'm not going to continue that. And they answered, "The Lord bless you."
Sorry, you're still
I did continue it. Then Boaz said to his young man who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" And the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered, "She is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab." She said, "Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves after the reapers." So she came, and she has continued from early morning until now, except for a short rest. Then Boaz said to Ruth, "Now listen, my daughter. Do not go to glean in any other field, or leave this one, but keep close to my young women. Let your eyes be on the field that they are reaping, and go after them. Have I not charged the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink what the young men have drawn." Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, "Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?" But Boaz answered her, "All that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you left your father and mother and your native land and came to a people that you did not know before. The Lord repay you for what you've done, and a full reward will be given to you by God, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge."
I love that. You know what? Boaz is what a guy. Like,
Oh man, I want to be like Boaz. I want to be like Ruth.
I want to be like all of them. Boaz was just, to me, he's just a symbol of what like unconditional kindness and what unconditional love looks like. Especially at the end where like Ruth calls herself a foreigner and he's like, no, like you've taken refuge under our God. Like at this point now you're not a foreigner. I think that's so beautiful. I mean, he doesn't explicitly say that, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. It's like, no, we share in this inheritance because we believe in the same God. So actually you're not a foreigner. Like we are kin, and I'm gonna bless you and I'm gonna help you. And I just think that is so beautiful because he literally did not have to do that.
No. Well, and you even saying about like the laws earlier about the farmers leaving the outside bits. But so he did that, but he was actually generous beyond the command. And I think that really stood out to me too, which is like, actually, how can we go above and beyond what we're commanded to when it comes to loving people?
That's great.
And even like encouraging people and everything that he said here and did. I just think it's beyond what was asked of him, which is pretty cool. And also like hints, I can't help but read this, and even the whole foreigner thing, it links to like the whole Jews and Gentile thing when Jesus is around and whatnot, and how we're all unified under Jesus and how the times have changed and stuff like that. But you even see glimpses of that, and even how God uses like the Moabites and stuff like that. It's not like spoilers, but like David comes from this line and Jesus comes from this line, and actually it's he uses people that are outside of that Israel group. And I think it's just seeing the hints of this is quite exciting, knowing how the story goes. Like even just seeing the hints of this and the hints of like Jesus throughout it is really cool.
I think Boaz fancied Ruth.
I don't think he did at this point.
Are you sure?
I don't think he did at this point.
Are you
I
sure?
actually, maybe I didn't mark it in my Bible. I was going to mark it in my Bible where I thought he started fancying her.
Yeah, I agree with
Really?
you, Izzy.
I don't
You
think
you did?
I think he's just kind. Also, actually,
Nah, but like, listen to this. Listen to that. Whose young woman is this? Who is this?
No,
don't
Who
be
is
ridiculous.
this?
Don't twist
And then
the
he's like,
words.
"Don't worry, I've told the men not to."
He's
not
being
to be with you.
kind. Do you know how to talk to a female, Jesse? Like you can. Sorry, that was a bit too far.
Wow.
But like, he was just being kind.
He was into her. Who is this? No other man is going to be with her. I reckon he was kind of like, no?
No, I disagree.
I completely
Really?
disagree.
I don't think so.
But they get married.
Yeah, but I think
Later
at this
on.
point,
Spoiler.
he was extending kindness, and he was like, look, the women that are in my, like the women that I'm around, like take refuge with them. Like the people that are serving in my fields, like take from their, like glean, like actually take from what they're harvesting.
And you'll be
I
safe.
think
Yeah.
he was just like sharing and trying to like shelter her.
I'm going to replay. I agree. I don't think he fancied her. Because he called her my daughter.
The only other point that I have, unless we move on, is the fact that he says like, oh, I heard about how you treated your mother-in-law. And it's like, we're not to make it sound crazy, but like people see the way that we live.
Yeah.
And like our actions have positive and also negative consequences, but they can have positive ones. Like people can be inspired by the way that we live. And like the fact that Ruth literally laid down her life to go to another nation and to serve her mother-in-law, that was inspirational. Like Boaz was actually impressed. And it's like how many people around us can be inspired by our faith based on how we live. And also like kind of a side point, but the Bible talks about like having both favor with God, but also favor with man as well. And I think, yes, we're Christians, and yes, you know, there's this language of, you know, we're in the world, but we're not of the world, but we're also in the world. And like people actually see how our relationship with God like goes into our actions and like how that translates. And so like, yes, it's good to read the Bible, but also be kind, but also like practice what you're reading and extend that, because people will see that and be inspired by it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the only point I had.
No, I think he's a great, Boaz is a kind man.
Yeah.
Like what he's offering is, he doesn't have to. He has no burden to do that. He doesn't have to do this, but he gives more and more. He invites, this is what's crazy, he invites her to come and eat bread. It's such a fascinating thing when people invite like other people to have food with them in the Bible. Like when David, his best friend Jonathan died, he invited Jonathan's son to come sit at his table and eat with him. And it's almost like a way of saying, I share what is mine with you. I share my inheritance with you. That's why like in Psalm 23, when it says like, he prepares a table for me in the presence of my enemies. It's deeply profound, because God it's like saying, in the presence of enemies, God is sharing his inheritance with us. And although the table's not mentioned, being invited to eat with someone is kind of like going, I share what I have with you. Like, you're welcome here.
Yeah.
I love you. Like, and it's just so kind. Again, there is just no need for him to do such a kind thing, and he chooses to over and over again. He chooses kindness, and I love that he as you said, he sees what Ruth has done with Naomi and he honors it. He's like, no, I really honor what you've done. And he hears that Ruth has been working in the field.
Well, I'm working hard, long days.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be like Ruth as well, man. Let me be the Ruth, let me be the Boaz, a Roaz. Like,
I love that.
like, honestly, Ruth works super hard.
Booth. Yeah.
Let me be like William Booth.
But also she wasn't prideful as well.
No.
Like, she didn't think, oh, because I've worked so hard and because I've gathered grain, I deserve. Like, I actually, she didn't say that. She
Why
said,
have I?
a foreigner, like, who am I that you would be this kind to me?
Yeah.
And I think even for us, that's a heart check of like, yes, we may work hard in life. Yes, we may, you know, be faithful, but that doesn't mean, oh, because I've been faithful, God, I deserve this. Or like, oh God, because I've fasted and prayed, then you just like, I need this blessing. It's like, no, actually, who are we that God would even, you know, like it says, the Bible says like our works, I think, are like filthy rags. Like, we don't deserve any of God's grace. We don't deserve any of his mercy, but he just freely gives it. So yeah, love that.
Nice.
Let's land this plane. We're going to come to the end. Have a couple more verses. Izzy, would you read for us?
Oh gosh.
Go on,
Okay.
do a-
Which ones?
Do a
Could
fun
you
voice.
read Ruth chapter 2, verses 17 to 20?
It's NIV, everyone. So Ruth gleaned in the field until evening. Then she threshed the barley she had gathered, and it amounted to about an whatever. She carried it back to town, and her mother-in-law saw how much she had gathered. Ruth also brought out and gave her what she had left over after she had eaten enough. Her mother-in-law asked her, "Where did you glean today? Where did you work? Blessed be the man who took notice of you." Then Ruth told her mother-in-law about the one at whose place she had been working. "The name of the man I worked with today is Boaz," she said. "The Lord bless him," Naomi said to her daughter-in-law. "He has not stopped showing his kindness to the living and the dead," she added. "That man is our close relative. He is one of our guardian redeemers." What did you say to go to?
Yeah, that's it.
Guardian redeemers.
Yes.
Nice.
So that's basically who Boaz was. He was a guardian redeemer. I'm trying to remember all the context, but I think it's like he could, so basically if somebody was like widowed, if they like remarried somebody, that man would have been able to like protect them in their covenant marriage, provide for them, and would have been able to redeem them back.
It's got a little footnote that explains it. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
legal term for one who has the obligation to redeem a relative in serious difficulty. Leviticus 25 to 55.
Come on.
Nice.
Bring back to Leviticus. And that's who Boaz was. Like, he was that person. But I think what I love about that is he didn't wait until the end of the story to be a redeemer, like until they got married, but he actually started in the fields when they first met. Like he said, hey, take my grain, like eat a meal with me. He started from there. And I think, I just love that he didn't have to wait until it was official, but he actually started from early.
Yeah, not out of obligation, but out of choice,
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I just love that one man's generosity reaches more than just one person.
Mm-hmm.
Like often when we are generous to
I love that, yeah.
someone, we don't realize that it spills over into other situations. And it either like physically, in this case, he gave her food and it was enough to spill over and have enough food for Naomi.
Yeah.
But also like in our like character and who we are. If we're kind to someone and they become kinder, that will spill out to another relationship that they're in that isn't with you in. It's like the more we pour into something or someone, the more that will then pour into something and someone. And the only way we have the ability to pour into someone is when God pours into us. And it's a wonderful chain reaction. If we learn the nature of God, the kindness of God, the compassion of God, the compassion that moved Boaz, it describes when Ruth said to Naomi, I've been working in Boaz's field. It's like, oh, Boaz, he's a worthy man of the Lord. He's a man of God. And then like earlier when he walks into the field, Boaz does, he's like, the Lord bless you. Oh, and bless you. Like this is a man who knows God deeply and personally. And that is where these characters come from. This is where his kindness comes from. It's an overflow of what God's done in his life. And it's spilling into Ruth. And from that, it's spilling into Naomi. And so I'm just encouraged, one, when I like throw a rock of kindness into like a lake, the ripples are bigger than I ever realised.
Yeah.
Absolute metaphor. And two, where does my help come from? Where does my wisdom come from? Where does my like character come from? It has to come from God. And like we can respect Boaz as much as we want, but all he's doing is reflecting God's nature, which is exactly what we can do to this day. So I want to be like that,
It's great.
There you go.
I love that. And I think the last thing that I'll say is that Ruth, she brought back abundant food. Like this was more than she should have even harvested, but she did it because she went above and beyond for her mother-in-law. And like you said, it was the ripple effect of that sacrificial love that allowed Naomi to get excited and to get her hope back. Like she went from changing her name, saying that like basically the Lord has dealt with me bitterly, to then at the end of this chapter being like, oh my gosh, Boaz, okay, like maybe there's a chance, like he's our kinsman redeemer, like I can see what God's doing like above the surface. And it basically, Ruth's kindness allowed Naomi's faith to get excited again, and it allowed her to anticipate and be expectant for God's plan and God's redemptive plan for her family and like her generations to come. And I think, like you said, like one little act of faith can have the biggest difference. And so for us, like as we're reading this story and trying to like apply God's teachings to our lives, let's not be people that just go through the motions of life and it's just like, okay, I wake up today, I go to school, I come home and I go to bed. But let's actually be people that are like, how can I make a difference in someone's life? Like how can you use me to reveal your plans to somebody else? How can I be sacrificial in loving somebody, God, so that you can move through me? And through that, like God's love is just going to spread to so many people in our lives. So I love that.
And I think also one thing that just really stands out to me is that Naomi had no idea how much blessing was around the corner. And I think that's what we should also live in, that mindset of being like, you know what? God is always around the corner. So yeah.
Come on. What a strong note to end on.
Guys, that was joyful.
Yeah, what a story. See, I bet you thought listening, oh, what is the book of Ruth? And now we've gone through all that and it's like, oh my gosh,
What's the book of Ruth?
Yeah, it's like, what's to come?
Still confused about that whole family tree thing.
Yeah, we might need to like draw it out a bit on paper, just
Get
to
the
like,
whiteboard out.
yeah, get the whiteboard out.
Okay.
Yeah, we
I
could
was
do-
thinking that actually.
maybe for the next episode we'll put the whiteboard in the back.
Should
Who
we?
knows? But you'll just have to tune in to see and see what we get onto when we talk about chapters 3 and 4. But guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast or watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And we can't wait to see you on the next episode.